What does that, what the moment when you get hit? I mean, what is that like? It's a moment people just can't understand.
Well,
You go into shock, or
first of all, I would tell you that I lost my hearing for about 3 seconds, and it's typical. The RPG comes with enormous overpressure, and for about 3 seconds, and then all of a sudden it comes right back. And then, of course, I'd mentioned that machine gun fire that was going off, and probably for 10 to 15 minutes or so, I felt no pain because of the adrenaline going through my body. I knew I'd been hit because I looked on the back of my legs, and I had some blood that was coming out from my uniform. But as far as I could tell, it was really something extremely minor. It was really only later, after we had defeated our enemy on that day, that I started to feel increasingly like somebody was slicing the back of my legs. When I realized later on, in fact, it wasn't until I went to the hospital to check one of the other paratroopers that was wounded in this engagement that the docs saw the blood on the back of my uniform, and they said, "Hey, sir, why don't you lay down here and let's check you out?" And from there, that led to X-rays when we noticed there was shrapnel in my body.
Wow. Yeah, because it's not like once you get hit, they stop the war and said, "Okay, let's check Chris out."
No, not at all.
I mean, the battle engaged, and you were a commander too.
That's right.
Yeah, you had men
That's right.
to look after.
I'll tell you, it didn't end well for our enemy too. We got, as they say, you should see the other guy.
We got the job done.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of people. They're against war, and the reality is, if you don't fight back, you wind up losing. So in war, you take out the enemy, you get taken out yourself.
Well, I think this brings up an important distinction, and that is that our soldiers, our men and women over there, are doing what our leaders are asking them to do on behalf of the American people. So there's nothing political that's going on over there. Our soldiers are following orders of their duly elected leaders. Mm-hmm. So I think this is an important distinction, and I think it's one our country has learned. Mm-hmm. I was with our Vietnam vets over Memorial Day weekend. I was up in the North Country at an incredible memorial up at the Adirondack Community College, and I had a chance to share some moments with our veterans, our Vietnam veterans, and I told them what heroes they were to me and to our generation. They set the example. They went to war when our country was divided, but their loyalties were never divided. They did what we asked them to do. Yeah. And really, this is something
And that was the big thing in Vietnam, because my brother got off the plane in Seattle, and a guy called him a baby killer.
Yeah.
After a year on the DMZ.
Yeah.
And that was just all the politics was ranging. The soldiers are about following orders and doing a job, and the political leaders screwed things up, to be candid about it.
Well, I think this is an important distinction because, our veterans of this war, we feel we've been very well recognized. In fact, more so than we think we deserve. But what we want to do is say to our forefathers, our brothers that went before us in Vietnam, that you have our complete and utter respect, and we appreciate your service.
Mm-hmm. All right, we are talking to retired Army officer Chris Gibson, who rose to the rank of full colonel. He's running for Congress in the 20th District, which is a bunch of counties over on the east side of really the river, Rensselaer counties. What are some of the counties?
Actually, thanks, Mark, 10 counties.
10 counties.
We've got 10 counties, 137 towns.
Yeah, the way they draw the districts.
We go as far north as Lake Placid, as far south as Poughkeepsie, and as far west as, about 25-minute drive of Binghamton, Delaware County.
Okay, we're going to take a little break. We're going to hear from Bruce Springsteen, which is who Chris was listening to back in his Siena days.
That's right.
And we're going to hear Born in the USA, which couldn't be a more appropriate song for Chris
thanks,
Gibson.
Mark. You're bringing back memories.
We'll take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Siena Alumni Connection, Born in the USA. And we've got a wonderful guest today, a graduate of the ROTC program here at Siena. I am your host, Mark Grimm of Mark Grimm Communications, and author of the book, Everyone Can Be a Dynamic Speaker. Yes, I Mean You. Chris Gibson, full bird colonel, as my brother would say. He fills me in on the lingo. That's not an easy achievement there, getting an opportunity really to lead a lot of men. But it all began in your Siena days, didn't it? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, as a high school student at Ichabod Crane, and being an avid follower of Siena, then Siena Indians basketball, of course, now Siena Saints, but a dream to come to Siena College. And so to get an acceptance letter here was really just an incredibly happy moment in my young life.
Why did you feel? When did you enter Siena? What was your year? When did you graduate, Chris?
I graduated from Ichabod in 1982. Okay. So I came here in the fall of 1982.
Why was you so excited about Siena? Because there's
just
so many
really everything about the culture here, the family values, the Franciscan tradition, the basketball. the great reputation in the greater Capital District area. And so, this is a place that I don't think I'm, I think I'm very typical, actually. I think if you go out there and talk to folks that walk around here, and they're going to tell you the same thing.
Yeah. Well,
that Siena is a place where they want to go to school.
Yeah, it's funny because, of course, I'm doing the show for 6 years now. I don't know how many I think it's 600 people we've interviewed.
Right.
And they all come from all walks of life. And yet they all tell similar stories about their Siena experience. That's why I ask. Everybody frames it a different way.
Right.
But it comes back to the idea that when you step on campus, you're part of a family.
Yeah.
And that feeling is different than anywhere else.
Absolutely.
And there are other Catholic schools, and there are other Franciscan schools, too.
Well, having the opportunity to take classes with Franciscan monks was something that was special. Taking metaphysics and English. And
those requirements there.
Something we've all been through. These are rites of passage.
That's right.
It's like basic training for a soldier.
Philosophy and metaphysics. There's your 6 philosophy
Can't get out of here without that.
Got to have it, yeah.
Yeah. But to have Franciscan monks as leading you through that, that was a special experience. And it's one that I, talking to other alum, when we see each other over the years and after the years, I mean, these are some of the funny stories. I think of Father Roach, who I had for metaphysics, and and finding those that were in our classes, and just a special set of experiences.
So that's when you began your deep thinking.
Actually, I give a lot of credit here. Yeah,
it's funny. I really like philosophy because kids dreaded it. Philosophy. How is that going to help me get a job? And I said, if you can't confront the most basic issues, why you're here, I mean, that's got to be the underlying motivation for whatever you do.
Absolutely.
And if you don't get that right, some people never do. Some people never do.
Lover of philosophy.
Yeah.
The age-old questions.
Well, you're a deep thinker. I mean, when you get into the military, anyone who gives his entire life to the military has really got his act together when it comes to considering what is really important. And that's anytime you're getting shot at, I got to believe there's a lot of philosophers in the foxhole because you really, when you're confronted with death, and you've been confronted with death in a way that,
Thanks. I truly believe that this is a way of life worth protecting. In the history of mankind, there have been free countries and there have been rich countries, but never in the history of mankind has there ever been at once such a free and rich country such as the United States of America. Now, that's under stress right now. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the reason why I'm here.
Yeah, well, let's talk about your politics. Let's get into some issues here, Chris, because in this district you're running in, there is an incumbent there, but there's 60,000 more Republicans than Democrats. So from a national perspective, this is a target seat. Obviously, they've recruited a very outstanding candidate, and you're in play here, as it were. So if you went to Washington, where would you stand on some of these issues? Healthcare, number one, the healthcare bill.
Right. Well, we took a step in the wrong direction, in my view. There isn't any question we need healthcare reform. But what I would do is repeal and replace that legislation. I've been through that bill. I have read it. We cannot save it. There is so much wrong with that bill that I don't believe we can amend it. I think we have to repeal it and replace it with a new bill, a bill that focuses on cost. I mean, the issue with this bill, among so many things, is that healthcare costs are going to continue to rise. Our premiums are going to continue to rise. There are new taxes. There are multiple sets of new taxes in this bill that's going to straddle our already struggling economy, and we grew government. We hired 17,000 new IRS workers. And, Mark, they have nothing to do with healthcare. That's 17,000 new salaries, 17,000 new sets of benefits, 17,000 new pension obligations. Yeah. And I doubt we can fit 17,000 folks into the same building. So we're probably talking about new construction. You see where I'm going on this.
Oh, yeah.
We're moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah.